We will call the Public Utilities Committee meeting to order. Today is Monday, June 1st, 2026. It's 2:03 p.m. We'll start with item number 1, which is the chairman's roll call. I am Mike Ray, 4th Ward Councilman and Committee Chairman, and to my right,
Samantha Turner, 3rd Ward City Council and Vice Chair.
David Skolnick, an indicator.
Chad Hawks, Law Department.
Mayor Derek McDowell.
Charles Shasha, Public Works. Jonathan Huff, Chief of Staff.
Adam Venti, Law Department.
James Oliver, First Ward City Council.
Jimmy Hughes, member.
Ali Ross, WFMJ.
Alex Rose, WKBN.
Stan Boney, WKBN.
Dan O'Brien, Business Journal.
Rich Harvey, Finance.
Valencia Merrill, City Clerk.
Okay, we've completed item number 1, which is the roll call. And we do have some legislation here the administration is interested in doing, and thought it would be a better idea if we could have a discussion on it. It was originally placed on last meeting's agenda, but then pulled from the agenda so we could have a conversation. I've had some background information and kind of been brought up to speed on it, but I think it's a good time for us to all get on the same page of what's going on with SOBI, the receiver, and where we're at. I don't know if Mayor?
I'll begin.
Sure.
Through the chair. So I believe Thursday of last week, we had a official meeting with the receiver.
Can you speak up a little bit?
Yes. No, I believe Thursday of last week, we had an official meeting with the PUCO, the General Counsel, Monica Waller, along with the newly appointed receiver from February, John Collins. He brought employees from the SOBI plant, along with lawyers representing each of those individual entities. Some of the things discussed was the PUCO's desire and forward movement with an emergency tariff increase. It was disclosed by the current receiver, John Collins, that they have a operational budget of about $220,000 monthly, and they're currently intaking half of that, around $110,000 from the user group on the system. And we, doing that basic math, arrived at this tariff increase would more than double the rates that these users are now experiencing. The challenges with that, additionally, that we discover from the receiver is that the system, in some instances, I believe there's approximately 23 users. 4 of them are currently not even metered on the system to determine what their rates are. Many of them who have meters, their meters aren't providing accurate readouts. And so we're concerned as an administration in not only the doubling of the tariff increase, but what that'll do to the existing users who aren't receiving the reliable service from the utility. And so there's also some concerns from the receiver sharing that they have just worked with the Enbridge Gas Company to try and drill down on the $2 million rate that they owe to the utility. I believe they said they're in works of successfully negotiating it down to around $750,000 as an outstanding balance, but that's not guaranteed or confirmed. And so there's outstanding debts that have us concerned with the utility, not only in the operational side with the natural gas, but as some of you may know, the Enbridge gift that was $1 million, $750,000 of that was inserted into the SOBI system that was supposed to cover the rental rates associated with the temporary boiler units on site. Those, I believe, run around $84,000 monthly. And at that rate, the receiver himself has acknowledged that they have about 3 to 4 months left of that gift, around $225,000. So there is risk of an additional repossession of those units. So we've already experienced that once in the amount of time that we've been dealing with this, and now we're talking a second. And so when it comes to this legislation, I just want to clarify, because I know what it's listed as the proposal to assess SOBI's functionality as a STEAM system. That is not the complete focus of this. The request for legislation is to engage with Retzel, who's a trusted, law firm that we've worked with through other things. I believe the Durrick case is one of those. So this is not a firm that we've not dealt with before, but it is because they have relationship with the same folks who solved the issue in STEAM for Cleveland, as well as Akron's energy system issue or STEAM system issue. That company has relationship on the state level with the governor's office because they've worked so closely with Cleveland systems and Akron systems. So it is not just for the evaluation of Sobeys current. We know much of that through public record, and we shared just a little bit more of those dire concerns that we have now. But it's also to really start talking about the impacts of that tariff increase, the legal ramifications of doing so. There are some users on the system who have what they believe is agreements for flat rates that they were to pay. We are concerned about the death spiral that could occur if users remove themselves from the system because of this doubling or more than doubling of the tariff increase. And we also really need these experts, not only on a legal standpoint, but a technical engineering standpoint that Retzel brings with, along with the Akron Energy System Company, so that we can really talk about, even from the PUCO standpoint and acknowledgement, that we only have so many courses of action here. They've talked about a co-op as being one of the options, a user-owned scenario, a municipal option, which we're not pursuing whatsoever at this current, or a sale. We are concerned that there are local entities that have been brought in to look at a purchase of Sobey and have some connections to previous ownership. One of the gentlemen who came in from a Detroit Thermal company says that he used to work for Youngstown Thermal and knows Dave Farrell. It's concerning in that Dave Farrell, the current owner of Sobey, has indicated he wants his system back. And we know that we've been in a receivership not once, but twice. We've seen a sale of Youngstown Thermal to Sobey, and we're concerned about all of those options. A sale to a new owner that we're not aware of or haven't done due diligence on could put us in the same position with a failing system. We know that a co-op asking users themselves to try and take over this system in its condition is not a viable option currently, and a municipal ownership, is not a viable option. We're still petitioning the state for assistance through the governor's office, waiting to hear back. There was an evaluation of the system done by Panini, which is a contractor hired through the PUCO, Michael Conway and his team. The on-site build back for the system was estimated around $13 million. There was a quote that was requested for the delivery portion of the system. So the pipes and the utility running to the buildings, that was estimated about $17 million. So you're talking about an estimated $30 million ask for something to build back this system. And I don't believe a co-op scenario, a sale to a new owner, and a municipal option are viable options to the table. So again, as it pertains to this legislation, we need the experts, the technical evaluations that go beyond just telling us what we already know about the functionality of the system. We need to really be discussing options that go beyond some of this and holding accountability to the authorities in this space.
Okay. Thank you for that summary, Mayor.
And I know that was a lot, I apologize.
No, that's, I think we've kind of, it's been sitting there in the background since the weather got warmer, and we haven't really been thinking about what has been taking place on this. Adam, I think maybe an update from you on where they are with their solvency. I think my understanding, we're in a really unusual situation with Sobey because the previous administration, the law department, really got this into a receivership before there was a bankruptcy or some kind of, we kind of smelled that there was trouble and we were proactive. So that's unusual that even happened prior to them completely folding. So where are they at with their finances, or Adam, what perspective can you offer on the situation?
If I may,
Go
before
ahead.
you, I just want to,
Go ahead.
I just got 2 cents.
Yeah.
No, my concerns about the legislation and the purpose of it is what in past, and I mentioned this before, was that we would go into executive session. They always put this kind of, these kind of, as a work product, I believe, is what we're saying and what we're leaning toward. You know, especially if it's gonna lead to some kind of litigation. All litigation in the past that I thought that we were talking about allocating finances for, we discussed in executive session. And I don't see this no different, and I just question why we have an open and we have a certain amount of money that we're gonna use for that purpose. If we have to go in, if it goes bit more. That's my concern. I think we sort of letting the cat out of the bag before, you know, we get an understanding of how far we're gonna willing to go, and if it is in litigation, and what we don't wanna let the other people to know exactly. And that's what the discussion is bringing up now, and we go into that. So those are my concerns, and I got no bone anywhere else.
Yeah, go.
Through the chair, Councilman Hughes, thank you. But this legislation is not for retaining rental owners for a lawsuit. This is retaining them for consulting purposes. I can talk about what Sobe has discovered Sobe has disclosed through the receiver and the receivership that's in the Mahoney County Court of Common Pleas. That's all public information, but as the mayor alluded to, Retzel Andrus has essentially legal consulting experience with Akron and Cleveland coming through the same issues with their steam service. So this is not retaining Retzel Andrus to file suit of any kind. This is to retain them for their consulting services, for their legal expertise on these, for their network of people that they have. And I don't want to speak for everyone here, but I've met with the people that they're familiar with, and they have a next level of understanding when it comes to this. This is very, very complicated stuff. And so that's the purpose of this particular legislation. And I'll table my comment about the receivership until.
Just the public.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I get that, and what I underline when the mayor says assess the functionality, you know, we're gonna go beyond that, and that's exactly what the court required to do that. And that brought my concerns back on the table, you know. I understand.
I had the same concerns as Councilman Hughes. I did have the opportunity to speak with one of the attorneys and the consultant that I'd met previously. They did want to come here. Hopefully we can clear up some of the stuff that what they were actually going to do, because I think from the assessment side, it's a much different thing than what we're saying is what this ask is for. Samantha, did you have?
I have a question. And this is really, so from there, you're saying sale looks like it's not an alternative, making it a municipal utility is not an alternative, co-op is not an alternative. What's the alternative here? Because of course I'm gonna say, but I don't wanna throw good money after bad. If Akron and Cleveland have, you know, written the scripts, or we look at the script and we know what they're doing, is that something that we can feasibly do? So I wanna make sure that if those are three are brought up the table for us, then what is on the table for us, since we're out here in this public.
Go ahead, Mayor.
Through the chair, just to answer that question, but I'll preface it with, we also have been at this quite a long time. I think that we all know that. If you look, the public records show this is more than a decade. This isn't our first receivership. This is our second. This isn't the first threat of repossession. This will be the second if these fundings run out from the Enbridge gift. What we're also up against is a timeline and a gubernatorial shift and all the work that we've been putting into place to try and lobby the state to really come to our assistance and aid here. And so that's why we're being urgent around this request. But The answer is when the experts spoke to us about them solving Cleveland and solving Akron, this owner operator literally told us they won't know until they come and assess our system to know whether or not a slimming down. We currently have 4 miles of pipe. They won't know until we provide them much more information about the current system's makeup. If it needs slimmed down from 4 miles of pipe to 1 mile, they won't know if out of the 23 users, if 15 of them cannot come off the system whatsoever, what the answer is. And so that's what we're trying to further evaluate. That's why I didn't want to leave it at Sobeys functionality as a system being the only thing. We need to go beyond that to provide options, whether it is viable to say we must sell it to a new owner. There must be some owner operator agreement. We know that the co-op option is probably likely not on the table for these users to take over a system that requires $30 million worth of investment. And so that's where we're at, is that even the experts, until they get a deeper dive, must, make sure that they are aware of any utilities. You're not going to get a sale to a new owner with a $2 million past due gas bill. And some of these folks aren't getting that from the public knowledge until we got that information from the receiver and the PUCO. Folks aren't aware that the tariff increases that are about to happen might cause other users to exit the system or go with alternative plans. And so that's why I didn't want you to think as council body that this was just a assessment of what we can gather out of public knowledge. This is a
Yeah,
deeper.
it definitely needed further.
Yeah.
The discussion. Samantha, did you have a follow-up on that?
Yeah, follow up. We know that the system is not strong enough for all of our 20. I mean, I feel like there's something that we know, and I feel like we've sat enough in the town halls to know it's not good enough for all of the buildings that we have. And then we also know that the cost to a building, let's say from inside the city hall, to come off of the system is astronomical. And that, just imagine if that was a small business, right? Doing that. So those are 2 big things off the top of the list that we just said. What I'm just saying is that I hope that we're thinking forwardly. But what you did mention that was really interesting was the politics of this all going into the shift of our the shift in our governorship, right? So what are you doing to lobby to ensure that this stays on top of mind in the next set of politics? Because that is you hit the nail right on the head. If the next administration at the state level does not have the same appetite as the current administration, then where do we go from there? And those are some of the pieces that I think that as a city we should be looking at. But then we also know that Solvay is not Solvay. We know this. We know that Solvay has not been able to, since the time they went into the building, to be able to do what needs to be done for this system. So are we going into this conversation knowing that the city may have to foot a bill for this or may have to support some of these businesses because of the fact that it is a utility? You have 23 plus buildings, and I think where WashU's off and most of Mercy Health is off, but you have these buildings all that are attached to this, and we can't just leave them in the lurch like happened this whole winter. So I just want to, like I said, I'm not a big fan of throwing good money after bad. If we can say, this, and this, what are our options? And I would love to hear what Akron did, what Cleveland did. Like, I would like to hear that before I say, sure, let's give Red Soul $130,000 to tell us the same thing. And they may not, but that's where I'm at with it. How far have we actually thought about this? And this is a new administration. I hate to put this on your back, but you know what happened in November? It's on your back. So now what are we actually doing instead of coming to us and just asking for another consultant who we all said we don't want?
Yep.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yep. And I think time is of the essence. And if I can just summarize here, and the mayor illustrated that with the change of administration, that could cause a problem. It's my understanding we want the resolution quickly, and we want to solve this with the current administration. And really, the consultant, based on my conversation, we probably need to have a call with everyone, maybe an executive session with the attorney, was they're gonna get the answers to everything you both are saying. They're gonna say, we're gonna give you the analysis. This isn't about like, we're gonna say what's option A, what's option B, what's option C, doesn't need to be resolved, and who do we lobby to get the money to help us with this? And they're gonna provide us with that expertise to say, okay, is the system salvageable? If it is salvageable, it's $15 million. If we go off the system and help everyone get new boilers, that's $5 million, but it's better to buy everyone new boilers and dissolve a system perhaps than it is to do. They're gonna give us all those options spelled out so we can make an informed decision. Because let's face it, this is left on our backs. It's not our responsibility. It's not the city's responsibility to solve SoBe. I want you to realize that. You need to write that down. It's not ours. We're fixing the problem that was dumped on us because the PUCO lost sight of it. And we get criticized for chill can, blip factories, everything else. You know what? We knew that this wasn't a good idea. Burning tires was never going to make sense, and they were full of it. And this has come to fruition. So it's back on our plates to solve it. And we have to spend our money to come up with solutions to protect our downtown because there's 23 end users. So at the end of the day, we have to spend more money because of these creeps. So if we have to pay to get an idea, I think you guys need to listen to the Retzel folks and the consultant to get an idea. They answered my question. I don't know, we didn't articulate it. Well, sorry, I'm frustrated. I've been frustrated on this topic for a long time. And I was totally opposed, but once I got an idea of they have to give us our bills and help us figure out who we can lobby, PUCO, funding and those things. Adam, can you tell us the financial health? Where are we at with this? What you saw? What did they file? Give us.
Sure, the receiver filed a receivership report last Wednesday or Thursday. The mayor alluded to some of the numbers, but the monthly income averages $116,000. The expenses average $220,000. So there's $100,000 shortfall a month there. There's over $300,000 in arrearages from delinquent accounts. As the mayor alluded to, the Enbridge gift, and a lot of people are misunderstanding that gift was part of Enbridge's resolution to resolve the Realty Tower building explosion. Whenever a catastrophic event like that happens with the utility, PUCO investigates. And so what Enbridge did to help resolve that was to give $1 million to resolve various things downtown here. That $750,000 balance is down to, as the mayor said, $220,000. So I mean, essentially they are paying the least boilers out of that. It's about $60,000 a month. So they think they have about 4 months left. And they don't have the revenues to continue paying the leases. One thing David Farrow did when he was operating SoBe was to remove there were 4 boilers there, and he removed them and just left one that has to be leased. And those leases are $60,000 a month. The arrearages to Enbridge, essentially because Dave Farrow and the SoBe group was not paying them, the gas company increased their rate tenfold. And so the arrearages are over $2 million to Enbridge. But the new receiver has basically gone to PUCO, filed a complaint, and he believes they can negotiate that to between $500,000 and $750,000. Ultimately, this receiver believes that a steam plant needs to be reconstructed over there. Boilers need to be purchased because the leasing of them is too expensive on a monthly basis. And this receiver, I do want to relay, is doing everything they can in those pretty bad circumstances. They're 100,000 short a month, and this receiver is doing what he can by law. But essentially, the report is that they're going to run out of money to operate the system by September or October. What they do after that is, we don't know, and that's why, as the mayor's indicated, as you have indicated, Councilman, that it's a pretty urgent situation.
So these consultants would give us an analysis of what our options are, basically. Like, if it runs out of money, I mean, is the PUCO responsible for completely again? Do we just sit here without heat? Exploring the cost to install. I mean, I'm sure there has to be some analysis. There's even enough gas service in downtown to provide enough gas for these boilers. I mean, there's lots of technical questions. Chuck, can you, just from a basic technical engineer overview. I mean, there's a lot of engineering data here, right, that you just can't, that someone with some expertise would have to chime in on. Is that correct?
Through the chair, you're referring to their distribution system and their
Yeah,
system?
just an analysis on some of these things to make decisions that we would have to hire an expertise. We're actually hiring someone for professional services, but it happens to be a law firm. So the framing of this was just not great.
Through the chair, there's a lot of data that need to be analyzed, a lot of information needs to be gathered and studied to see how feasible any solution would be.
So really, we're paying for a professional services that is outside of our in-house expertise. We got to get it from somewhere. This was the law firm that we work with and we trust.
Not through the chair, yes, we've worked with them many times on different projects.
Mayor.
I just want to say through the chair, not only we're working through the law firm who has worked with the energy system expert that solved Cleveland and Akron. So that's where we want to be very clear about that they're bringing us the expert who solved both of those challenges. And we took a tour of Akron's system, what they have that provides energy to Akron Children's Hospital, Cleveland Clinic, and Akron General Summa Health operates out of a plant approximately the size of one of the Chilcan plant. And they still have room for redundancy. They are now transitioning from a system that was costing the city of Akron $8 million to now having $4 million in profitability. That's a $12 million swing. And so Retzel not only has been a trusted partner to the city of Youngstown, but a trusted partner in assisting because of the technicalities of the systems. We need to be looking at the experiences that have been shared from First Energy Utility, who has vaults that incur steam that don't allow folks to go down in there properly at times to address issues. The manhole covers that our own city-owned employees might need to access. Are they properly identified that there is a steam line that runs through? Those are the technical things that they've brought to us for consideration for a city like Youngstown. And so that's why we cannot do this in-house. We cannot go at this alone. We cannot even present options on where we should go from here without having this expert evaluation beyond the normal, hey, here's what's going on with the system that we can gather through the public. And back to Councilwoman Turner's questions, 152 days is what I've been at this. In that amount of time, I've traveled to Columbus, I've traveled to DC having these conversations. We do not want to lose the steam. Go with that right after the PUCO meeting last Thursday, I was on the phone with Lieutenant Governor Tressel. We're trying to work through who we presently have in office to make sure we do not let go of the urgency. And when a transition occurs, we'll be prepared much more thoroughly with that administration to be able to lay this out and not lose ground in doing so. So we're hoping that we can be successful with the remaining time that we've got left on the clock, but we are in preparation for that transition as well, knowing that Youngstown cannot be forgotten in this situation. It is too impactful. 23 buildings is the economy of our downtown core. And so we're not letting that go. I have not taken my eye off the ball. This administration has not moved from this position that we are working, trying to work through the receiver who has been gracious in providing us the information that we need. But even beyond his scope of work, the level of complexities to this goes well beyond much of what any of us can get to. And we're just asking council to really, trust that we know that we're a customer of this system, but we're also the city of Youngstown that has to take leadership in the absence of clear authority and leadership to solve this. We are bearing the burden that doesn't belong to us, but we cannot allow anybody else to try and come and save us without knowing the expert advice that goes along with that, because we'd be right back in the same position.
Thank you, Mayor. Pat, did you?
Yeah, through the chair. So, Adam, I hear that this is an emergent. So if we pass this, what's the timeline for Retzel to come in and give an assessment? Because I heard you say that they might run out of money by September, October. So will they have that done before September, October, or do they have it open-ended?
Mayor?
We've been, and again, working through our own law department, talking with the PUCO and their legal counsel, as well as the receivers. We've already begun sharing much of this public data with the energy system that's going to assist us. And so we believe we're a little bit ahead of the curve in the sense of getting them as much public information as we can to begin their evaluations, but they're ready to begin right away. They were just as urgent as us to make sure we gave a briefing to you all, because they did not want to come in to evaluate this without having the full support of the city. And so they know that state capital budget was one pathway that was proposed to us, and they're doing the work of seeing whether that was a viable pathway or not. We're looking at the state's emergency fund. And so we know that June's right, we're in it. And if that capital budget passes, that's a door that closes on us. And so we close off a pathway of trying to get some state assistance in doing so. So I would say that they're more than ready to begin working with us immediately. And they have public data that's already been shared that gives them a leg up. If you talk with some of the folks, they're well aware of our situation. They just want the legal means to step in and execute on what they have.
Got yours, Julie's. Councilman Oliver.
Thank you. So we know this system has been failing for the last 30 years. Twice they've tried to give it to the city, yet so it's really confused. So with this new $130,000 we're spending for consultants basically to tell us exactly what's going on, are we telling our downtown building owners to put their plans to purchase boilers for their buildings on hold? Because they said if one more building comes off the system, then the whole thing is a bust. So I know at one time we were looking to put our own boilers in. I don't know if we've stopped with those plans, but I know there are other building owners who are currently seeking pricing to switch over to their own boiler system. Are we telling them to put those plans on hold and wait till we see who's ultimately responsible for fixing this?
Mayor, go ahead.
That's literally what the experts are going to tell us. We've not instructed any users to avoid pursuing their own pathways. But what the experts are telling us with the Akron Energy System is that may be the best thing to do, is to evaluate the current 23 users and work with them to get them off the system, to slim them down, so that we're only dealing with a much smaller issue. They're telling us that after evaluation, it could be that you want to strategically wind down the entire system. And so we're not cutting off any angles. I believe somewhere was reported back in 2017 that the YMCA had done an evaluation of its system, and it was upwards of $800,000 back then. That's 9 years ago. I believe that there was an evaluation of City Hall somewhere in the range of $500,000 for us to slim down. Those recommendations, and we're just talking as options, they may say to us, the experts may say to us, it is best for the city to go ahead and come off the system strategically. But what you've mentioned is that even the previous receiver and the current receiver have said with their current financial needs, if anyone comes off of the system, it could trigger that death spiral that we don't want to occur without the strategy in place. So there is the haphazard approach, and I believe with the PUCO's emergency rate increases that could more than double some of the users. There are some users who have alternative fuel sources now that they may be pushed to. That the steam was a bit cheaper and the natural gas option was a little bit higher, but now with a rate increase, they might give reconsideration to what they use. That's what we're concerned about, is that this rate increase might trigger that death spiral that we don't have time to plan for. And so we've not instructed anyone to alter their plans of consideration. But what we do know is that until these experts really get down in the weeds of these 23 buildings, that the plan is just ambiguous at this point. There are going to be some folks, and that's the approach that Akron took. They had a larger system. Their recommendations for themselves was to slim down, not only did they slim down the system's footprint, again, the delivery system, they suggested automation of the system as well. When you talk about, there is no way to profit from an $8 million deficit to a $4 million profit with 100 employees. They slimmed down 74% of their employee base with automated systems that they could monitor. And so these are all the recommendations that we're getting, and that's in an unofficial capacity. Experts have already been chewing on Youngstown's problem, and they're ready to work with us.
One thing that comes to mind, just, we talk about that deficit of, over 100,000 a month. And we know the system's been neglected, and we know they're always digging up the road. And we see emergency repair bills when we have to dig up the road for a water break, and they're never less than 50, maybe 50 to 100 grand. So every time that thing blows, that's why the assessment, it just blows my mind that infrastructure could be salvaged. But Samantha, go ahead.
Thank you. Just two things. First, you mentioned the capital budget. Have we talked to any senator? I don't think I saw Youngstown listed as a part of the Senate's capital budget just recently. Was there any pre-conversation that possibly put us on that? I may have been wrong, but I did skim it and I don't think I saw the city of Youngstown.
We got guidance back in February. Had gone to by invitation to the governor's residence, talked a little bit about the system. He mentioned wanting to see us apply to the state's capital budget to try and bring this thing to a close. Talking with State Rep Lauren McNally, she did not believe that this qualified for a legislative state capital budget request. We talked with other ranking members who thought the same. We had a meeting at the end of February with the governor's office to talk through those pathways, along with, State Rep Lauren McNally, some of the user group administration. There was a potential to go on the executive side of the state's capital budget, but we did not have the hard numbers to provide to them at the time. And there was some delay on the PUCO side, ordering the request from the Panini contractor that they're working with, who's on site. We had to push to work through what it would cost to rebuild the system on site. We had to go back after that, requesting what it looked like to rebuild the delivery system as well. And so as that time passed and we learned that the legislative side of the state's capital budget wasn't a clear pathway for us, we're still waiting to get re-engaged again with the governor's side of the House and say, is this going to be an executive or is this going to be an emergency rainy day? We just not cleared that hurdle yet, and we're trying to work to re-engage. And I should say, Akron Energy Systems, they have those relationships. And I don't want to misquote, but I believe one of the folks who work with the experts lives near the governor. And so they have his ear. They've worked with him through Cleveland, through Akron. That's what we're banking on in this relationship as well.
Follow-up?
Go ahead.
Thank you. So just for a point of clarity, the timeline is they're ready to begin and get started. We are understanding that they are prepared. They will eventually, at the end of this, let's say 90 days, that's a good start, right? So 90 days to the contract. But then you are by that time, you're coming into the fall and into the winter. So businesses downtown that are on the system should expect or should understand that if they have not made prior arrangements, they're going to be on this system come this winter, because completely outfitting the building for heating and cooling is something that's not going to happen this winter. So, I mean, just to kind of set the stage so that people understand.
Through the chair. Again, not speaking for the experts, but we did have a meeting with them in Akron, and what they shared is in building back their system, you are going to need the current system to stay operational. Mm-hmm. And so that is going to carry us. We're hoping that, again, with the issues around the deficits, that we bring that out to light, the rate increases, that we bring that to the forefront so that we can get through and maintain this temporary system. But even in their slim down, build back, rebuild of Akron's system, they required the existing system to stay in place And when they flipped the switch, they turned off the old system and turned on the new system strategically. And so we do know we've got a winter or two more until we get this. And so we cannot lose the existing system. We just can't. Even in its worst condition, we need it until we build back whatever is going to be the solution. So.
I put more.
Go ahead, Samantha.
Thank you. So alongside this, is the city looking at financially, if the city has to step in, the administration looking at financially what we may have to do come the end of this. Now, it may never come to fruition, but are we forecasting out the possibility that the city's gonna have to lead the charge on this, whether it is gonna be grants or looking for someone to purchase the system or taking on the system? Like how are we gonna act as this outside law firm is acting?
That's some of what they're gonna give us a strategy, right? This is part of the professional services. Come back with that strategy set, right?
Yes.
So I gotta get a menu.
I mean, homeowners is not due for
Yeah.
90 days.
And maybe just what to go along with this piece, because I'm imagining that they're gonna ask for this as maybe an executive summary or something with the points of what we're getting to offer more clarity would be helpful. Councilman Oliver.
So, Mayor, Preacher, who else besides the city of Youngstown would be responsible for doing this thing? Would it usually have been Sobe or the state or the PUC?
Through the chair, typically, when you come to the rate increase, for example, we ask the PUCO, why now, right? It's the receivership. The second time took place back in September. Their response to us was that your rate increase would have typically been requested by Sobe, the utility owner. And now they're finding that because of that gap, it's a emergency rate increase that they're initiating, to which they still don't have the numbers themselves on. And so that impacts our urgency in that. And so what we found is that we're initiating things, the users themselves have initiated things that the Sobe company should have been doing. The city itself is initiating things on behalf of the utility owner that we should not be doing. We understand that. But what we do know is that if we do not do this, we are going to see the collapse of a system that impacts 23 of our buildings. And so I don't have that complete answer on whether or not other systems like Akron or Cleveland were the initiators and should be the initiators of those. I just know that it seems we're not getting the proper attention that we should be getting from the authorities in place. And that's left us in a position where we've got to be the initiators, not just the customers, but the conveners as well.
Yeah, and just to highlight that for hoping it gets covered in the press, assessing all this is not our responsibility. We are a customer, but we have a responsibility to our citizens and the downtown, and losing 23 people without proper heating and cooling is catastrophic. So that's why we're taking a leadership role to do this. Adam, I see your hand.
Two things, Councilwoman Turner, this legislation is the first step of that, of the city taking a leadership role in this, but I also do want to clarify as well, because I don't want the headline to be steam shut off in October or November, and I feel like we're talking two separate things. I don't want to bring it together. The reason that the receiver is doing these emergency rate increases is to close that gap. What should have happened is if Sobe was a properly run company, every couple of years you go to the PUCO, you say, here's how much natural gas is costing us, here's our operations, here's the rate increase we need, and the state of Ohio approves it to make sure a utility doesn't make a silly profit. They're allowed to make some money, but not $1 billion. Sobe just didn't do that for 10 years. So now there's a huge deficit on a monthly basis. So they are doing this emergency rate increase that will be pretty dramatic. But that is to make up for the budget shortfall. So right now the budget shortfall is being plugged by the Enbridge gift. If this rate increase is improved, the budget shortfall will be paid by the rate increase. So we do have, it seems not going to be shut off in November, I don't think. But then, number three, the third point I want to make too is that, we have taken a more aggressive position in this administration and I have Attorney Hawks with me, we've successfully intervened in the receivership as a party. And that was something that did not occur last year, but due to the changing circumstances, due to us losing steam, we are now a party to the case, and that provides us with statutory powers within that receivership to make the court aware of, something like that happens again. And now we are in the receivership action and we can bring it to the court's attention. And so I just kind of want to make those points clear.
I'm not sure, Julius, did you?
I might forget. I'm hearing Akron and Cleveland, were they in the same situation we are? One, and two, are they a customer or are they the owner and they're making profit? So is that where we're starting to trend to?
Mayor?
Through the chair, yes, Cleveland and Akron were in dire straits. As far as their structure, there's a owner-operator agreement in Akron. But in our case, no one has propositioned what our answer is as of yet, because we just need that deeper evaluation. There is no municipal ownership in this scenario that we're purporting to anyone, because we do not know if this system is even viable to maintain. So we get that deeper conversation going. We do not want to see a haphazard sale to another entity, because we saw that from Youngstown Thermal to Sobe. And that brought us the paralysis, liquefying of tires. I'm sure there's some folks who would like nothing more than to get this off of their plate and sell it to someone else. But that, without an understanding of some of the conditions that they're dealing with, when you talk about, again, someone looking to purchase this system who's not aware that presently there is a $2 million gas bill that is due and trying to be negotiated, that doesn't put us on a good sales block. And so those who are going to try and come take this system under a sale, we need to be very vigilant about vetting them for ourselves as well, because we've been in this situation before where folks have claimed that they were going to come and save us and they haven't. Yes, we are going to the experts, because what was happening in Cleveland and Akron were probably worse scenarios than what's going on in here, hoping that they can do it a third time and really truly bring some resolution to us. But even they're not giving us a fast answer. We asked for it. We thought that they would have a clear pathway for the city of Youngstown, having done it twice before. And they want to be careful and methodical and take every one of these components. You have 23 users presently. We need to evaluate each one of them. Some of them may need to come off the system. You want to do that strategically. Some of them may need to stay on the system because, as you alluded to, we don't have the utility infrastructure to even present that as an option to some of our users. So it's a very complex scenario that requires.
Thank you. Julius, did you have?
Yes, one last question or statement. Are we at all worried about or prepared for, I don't want to give anybody downtown any type of false hope, right? So when the business owners or building owners see or read about this news story, they're going to feel in a way that's like, okay, the city's coming to save the day. It's kind of similar to what Councilwoman Turner was saying. I just don't want to give anybody the false hope that if deadlines aren't met or if this study doesn't come out the way we hope it would come out, that then it's going to be like, okay, well, the city's about to come up with $20 million to help everybody else get boilers or help build a new steam plant. Are we prepared to have a conversation with what this looks like if it doesn't work out the way we want it to? I mean, I don't even think we can say the way we expect it to. And we're all hoping here to get the right answers and to move in the right direction. But I just don't want to give anybody false hope that this is the city coming to the rescue for the whole kit.
Yeah,
Sure.
Mayor, I believe we're paying the professional.
Yeah.
To tell us what those options are. Mayor, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to concur with that. I mean, we're not going to certainly allow anyone to believe that, we're going to cough up the $30 million necessary. Careful not to cut off any kinds of opportunities for us to have pathways presented to us that we need to give real consideration to. But no, I wouldn't want to do that for any user. There are user group meetings that we'll have right after this with folks who have been heavily engaged. That will help disseminate that message. It's been very difficult, obviously, because the users, they are real people, real building owners and real business owners that have certainly taken on more than their brunt of trying to solve this for themselves. And we're at a place now where many of the users are exhausted of the challenges around it. So even getting the word out to them about where we're presently at. We challenged the PUCO if every one of the users was even aware that they're working on the emergency tariff increases, because that's going to send a shock through the system that we believe can be very detrimental. Even though it's an attempt to try and solve that funding gap, it's still going to be a shock. And so we are taking on a communications level with some of the users to make sure it's being disseminated as well. But we're not going to purport ourselves as the ultimate savior of the system to anybody. No.
Thank you. Anyone else have anything else?
No, I'm trying to, I don't see the real benefits that we're gonna get from a next short period of time before your crisis state time, which is October. But I'm all for it because it seemed not to be enough. It just didn't, the whole thing with 130,000, just not a big bang for me, and I can't see a big bang result that is gonna come about with it. And I understand you do an excellent job explaining it. Please don't beat me down on that. But the point I'm just saying is it's 130,000. We have talked on the same subject before with times over that, plus that kind of money that we was willing to invest into it. So I just don't see where it's gonna come. Everything that Akron and Cleveland went through, it's all public record. It's all public knowledge, and so, and your administration, you've been here since January, so now we like 2-3 months before winter getting to it again. And we look at it. I'm just complaining, but I'm not complaining, I'm just trying to.
Thank you, Jimmy. I think perhaps we can talk with them if we move forward with this, and perhaps if it's executive session because of potential litigation, have something at that council meeting that we could be brief. I know that's very short, but them saying, hey, what's this look like? It may be helpful. Councilwoman Turner.
Yes, I was gonna ask for the proposal that I'm sure came from Red-Sols to do this for us, if we could please have a look at that. Yeah.
I think it was sent to the council as a confidential.
Yeah, we did have
It was a train client.
so then maybe we don't need a summary, if that's enough. We can look at that. Okay. So since time is of the essence, are we asking that this would appear as a late? Is that in this next meeting? So we could get moving on this? I would entertain a motion from Councilman
I
Hughes.
move that we present it to, as a late to council for approval. If I'm saying that. Right.
Yep. Samantha, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that this piece of legislation as presented will go to the council floor for consideration and passage at the meeting that's Wednesday, the 3rd.
Thank you all.
Thank you. I think we just need to maybe, if we need to set a public utilities meeting monthly to keep up to date on, I don't know if that's necessary on this to follow it. Make sure this is a good way to probably output the information as it becomes available. Could be, I could talk to my colleagues and see if they think that's
necessary. I'm not scheduling a meeting just to schedule another meeting, but if there's relevant updates.
To the chair, you always, when we bring up questions about these things, you refer them to the committee, but you just never have them. So if you're gonna refer them and tear us down without question, you need to start it at your meeting.
Okay. Heard. Yes. Noted. Well, Jimmy points out, I said, I refer a lot of things to committee, and we didn't have the committee meeting, so we need to have a staff meeting to talk about that, I think, so we can get on the right track for that. All right, well, do we want to schedule one now, or do we want to? Do we want to schedule it in a month? Or should we see what updates are available and then get one scheduled?
I don't want to schedule them knowing that summer break or whenever they'll start going on.
Or we will discuss it and get back to you. Councilman Turner, is there a motion to adjourn if there's no other?
We adjourn 2:59.
Second. Been moved and seconded to adjourn at 2:59. Thank you, everyone.
Terry.
What's